Hey guys, Matt Allen here. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today we're headed out on the water. It's hot. I mean, really hot. We're on the TVA, the Tennessee River. Look at this parking lot. It's a ghost town. That's when you know it's hot. Nobody wants to be out there, but these fish will still bite. Let's go catch them. We can't escape the heat today. There's no way around it. In the South, this time of year, you are getting cooked in the daytime. But people don't realize the fish that you can catch when it's like this. So we're headed out. The goal will be, of course, looking for shade, looking for double shade, fishing the color line, maybe some ledge fishing. We'll be looking for those fish that are hiding but still feeding, and that's how we'll build a pattern today. I'm really looking forward to it. Not so much the heat, but the fish that it can produce. Let's get to it. I hadn't even started the camera yet. We're on our first spot, third cast. Fired out a strolling bait blind and got a big bite. This is the way we start. Look at that. My goodness, it's just rip and drag. Oh, right in the lip. Yeah, my goodness. What a fish. What a way to start. What did I say about the heat? It's worth it because of what comes out to play when it's hot. That's that Crush City freeloader. That was my third cast. I just pulled up to a likely place. I'm out on a ledge, place I've fished a lot of times, just pulled out and just made a couple bombers without even looking and loaded up. I wish the camera had been on the whole time. That was a cool start. That fish jumped so far out there. That was cool. Just shaking along and I banged into a piece of cover along the bottom. It's on that freeloader again. I banged into something on the bottom and as soon as I popped past it, I loaded up. Thank you, my friend. We're past, you know, that peak ledge fishing time, but there's still a lot of fish that'll get out on the ledges. If you're not familiar with what that is, you know, in this part of the world, the Tennessee River, there's a lot of current. And these fish basically use the power of the river to their advantage. They'll line up on current breaks where that water's rushing past them and they feed. When shad and other bait fish come down the current, they attack them. So you can line up on those spots and just fan cast, and the fish are always there, it seems like, but it's just certain times when they just fire off. You know, you could sit there for hours and never get a bite, and then boom, 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 boom. Maybe a big bait ball came by, something got them going, but it's a fun way to catch them. Almost straight up and down. Hey, buddy. Oh, he came off. That's all right. Let's try something else. Let's see if we can get them on the spoon, maybe. First cast. It's a good one, too. We got her, we got her. Big old fish on the Flutter spoon. Look at that. Nichols Lake Fork Flutter spoon. Big old bass. It's awesome. It is so hot, it's blazing. The water is in the low 90s. But these fish will eat if you come out here and do it. Back to working that freeloader along the bottom. Nice fish. Thank you, my friend. If you're not familiar with this method, what I'm doing, this is a Dirty Jigs tungsten HD guppy head, so the heavy duty 2-aught hook. This is a Crush City freeloader. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking a spinning rod, and this method is called strolling. People call it all sorts of things. Mid strolling, bottom strolling. It was originally called the Demiki rig. A lot of people call it the jig and minnow, but you're taking this bait, throwing it out, and then where a swim bait, you would just steady reel, and that swim bait would have that paddle tail kicking. This has more of a pin tail to it. So you shake while you reel, and it creates a body rock. So rather than a tail kick, it's a body rock, but the fish respond to it unbelievably well, as you can see. I mean, we've only been out here a little while. We've caught a handful of really nice fish on it. This is an X-Pride 610 medium heavy solid tip. So the one thing about this technique that I think a lot of people don't realize is once in a while a fish is going to crush it, right? You're going to get freight trained. But the vast majority of the bites, when you're shaking that rod tip, it's like half tight line, half slack, right? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The majority of the fish come up and just sort of unload the line. It's not like they tag it. So you've really got to be paying attention to a change in the feel. And that solid tip really makes a difference in my ability to feel when I've sort of gone weightless, and I definitely hook more fish because of it. It's a light line technique, right? We're using, I think, 13-pound braid. This is a sinking braid by Sunline called All Might, and then a 10-pound Seagar Gold Label leader. So Gold Label is crazy thin for its size. It's a very thin line, even though it's 10 pounds. So a very finessey technique to get fish to bite that aren't really in the mood, right? It's the middle of the day. Let me see what time it is. It's 1:30. That's not exactly prime time, summertime fishing, right? I'm not expecting these fish to be losing their minds, blowing up on the surface right now. These fish are grumpy. So we've gone to techniques that can get a grumpy fish to bite. Finessing that little guy around can get them. The flutter spoon, that's a whole different animal. The flutter spoon is more aggressive, right? We take that flutter spoon, we snap it up off the bottom, and then if you're not familiar with a flutter spoon, like the name says, it sort of flutters back to bottom, but it's extremely erratic. There's a ton of flash coming off of it. And fish that are in a place where there's a lot of bait fish to feed on will react to that, because it acts like a scared bait fish that takes off, and that'll sort of get them going. And then all of a sudden it does that like dying, fluttering all over the place thing. And it's just like a feed response in a bass. They just lash out on it. I rarely, unless the fish are really fired up, I rarely get them like cast after cast after cast on the flutter spoon. But just like we just did here, we had some fish that seemed to be eating a little bit. Fire that flutter spoon in there, we poke one big one. I made another half dozen casts, didn't get bit on it again, so I set it back down. But we're using baits that can trigger a response, can get lethargic fish to eat, and we're catching really good fish at 1:30 in the afternoon on a blistering hot day. Let's get back to it. All right, that's another one on the freeloader. I think we've proven our point that these fish will eat in this heat. Let's go do something completely different. Let's see if maybe we can use shade to our advantage, something like that. Let's just shift gears and just see what happens. That was awesome. That fish crushed this jowler, this topwater, back in that shadow. Oh, he came off! That was a smallmouth too. I was on the jowler. I'm using these shadow lines. Hopefully you can see it up there. Super hot and bright right here. Black shadow right up against the bluff wall. That's where those fish are sitting. Again, there's more than one way to catch them on a hot day like this. I've been throwing the topwater now for about 20 minutes. That was the first bite. Right when I thought I was gonna boat flip him, he came off, but that was a beautiful fish. Let's keep going. Oh, missed him. And, oh, it's a little spotted bass. Get it. Get it. He's tried 3 times. You can do it, little buddy. 4 times. He's just boiling under it. He's afraid to eat it. He's almost the same size as the topwater. All right, I'm gonna set the topwater down, head back offshore because we're definitely getting more bites out there. But the proof of concept is here. I just blew my opportunities, right? That was a beautiful smallmouth. And I totally had her right to the end, and then it just happens. Some days you don't fish clean, some days you do. That little spotty smashed it the first time and then was afraid to do it a second. He just kept coming up, going down, coming up, going down. But when you're fishing shadows like this, you know, when it's really hot, shadows are a great place, whether that's on a bluff wall like I'm doing, whether that's underneath the edges of docks. You know, there's lots of places that you can find traditional shadows. But what I want you to keep in mind is that not all shadows are created equal, and not every part of the shadow is the same. So I showed you that I was throwing that Rapala jowler. See the lip on the face of this thing? Because you guys know we like a lot of different topwaters. I carry a lot of topwater in the boat. So how did this one end up in my hand on that bluff wall? I spend a lot of time throwing the Giant Dog X. There it is, laying right there in one of those colors that Tim and I designed. But when I get on a bluff wall like this, and I'm fishing that shadow edge, the whole shadow isn't necessarily effective. The hotter it gets, the more miserable it gets, the fish will suck into the darkest part of the shadow. So I might look down 100 yards of bluff wall and there'll be 2 or 3 spots where that rock goes back in further, and that's a darker, deeper shadow. Those 2 or 3 places are really the only place that I'm going to get a bigger than average bite, which means my actual fishable spots are tiny. By going to the jowler with this big old lip on the face of it, this thing turns on a dime. So I'm getting this great walk without going very far. It's not a big wide walk, it's very tight. So I'm getting the maximum number of turns, the maximum presentation right there in the deepest part of the shadow without coming out of there. That's exactly where that smallmouth was. It was all the way back in the deepest part of the shadow on that entire section of that wall. These fish, when it's hot like this, yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it can be hard to be out here, but the fish themselves are the most predictable of the entire year, right? I can look at this wall. I didn't know if it was going to be a smallmouth, a spot, or a largemouth, but I could have guessed within 5 feet where I would have gotten that bite. I'm still fishing it all because you don't know. It might be a day where they're firing and there's a bunch of them up there and I catch them down the whole wall and I just catch the big one in that one spot. But I can immediately identify the key places where the best fish will be. And that's one of the things that makes this time of year so fun. Now today, it is so hot that these thunderheads are building. You can see them behind me. The one over here is giant and it's coming this way. I don't really feel like ending up in a lightning storm. We're gonna keep fishing, but we probably won't go more than another hour or so. It's gonna be a really short day on the water. We've already caught some big ones. We've already got a lot of bites, but I'm gonna try and get a few more and then I'm gonna dodge that storm. There's one. Oh, he came off. Whew, that one smoked it. Way out there. That fish right there choked a hog farmer stroll shad. The 5-inch stroll shad on there. Same concept as what I was doing with that freeloader, shaking that rod so that bait rocks back and forth as it comes through the water column. Was actually fishing that very high in the water column. I saw a fish, I swear I just heard another one. I saw a fish breaking on the surface, chasing on the surface way out. So I just bombed that thing. Just started fishing it high in the water column. Loads up. Such a fun way to catch them. That was such a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. Of how that fish will just essentially unweight your line. I don't know if you guys could see over my shoulder or not, but I was working that bait and something felt wrong. So I did a couple of bigger pulls to try and reconnect with my bait. And what I was really doing unknowingly was catching up to the fish that had eaten it coming up and at me. I did not detect that bite whatsoever. I just tightened up on it and realized what I had. Again, that's why the right gear is so important. And sometimes with a fish like that, you don't feel them anyway. These can be very difficult bites to detect. Let's try and get another one or two, and I think we'll wrap it up. Small one. White bass. That's why. Here's one. I switched over to a tailspin. This is the Demiki axe blade. Oh, it's a white. I've obviously got a school of white bass moving through right now. This is the Demiki axe blade. It's a tailspin. If you're not familiar with that, it's a very heavy bait. It's a lead bait. And then you've got this little willow on it. You get a little stinger hook there. You got that treble on the bottom. You can fish these a lot of ways, but this time of year, I'll use these sometimes, again, when these fish are lethargic. You can use this almost like a really finessey hair jig, or in place of a swim bait when they've seen a lot of kitex down there. You can slow roll it on the bottom. We'll have that blade back there spinning behind the bait, but we can stay down really well in the current because of the weight. Or we can fish it where we like pump it up and then let it fall back down, pump it up and let it fall back down. Both work really well. It's a fun bait this time of year. Oh, flutter spoonfish. Gosh, that's fun. Oh, missed him. Got him. That cloud cover gave us a bonus topwater fish. Out here in open water on a color line. That was fun. Thank you, my friend. No, don't you thrash. Nice fish. Beautiful fish. There's one more on the freeloader. I think we'll wrap it up on that one. I'm about cooked. We definitely caught our best fish in the middle of the day. Go figure. It's been a few hours now and we're still catching great fish, but I'm not seeing any more of those kickers coming on board, right? So I think we'll wrap it up. But today was really fun. This is that time of year where the diehards keep going and the rest start taking a break. But the rest sometimes fail to realize the caliber of fish that are getting caught this time of year. And that's what I wanted to do with you guys today. I wanted to show you, one, you can catch them. Even in one of the hardest parts in the country where the heat is the harshest, you can catch them. Not only can you catch them, you can catch big ones and you can catch them multiple ways. You can catch them the way you want to. It's fun patterns. This isn't like we're out here doing some miserable finesse thing and we're just praying one bites once in a while. That's not what we're doing. We're fishing and we are catching. It's a good time. Guys, I'll link everything in the video description, from the tail spins to the strolling baits to the topwater to the rods and reels we're using to catch these fish. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you soon.